We like to think that we live in a nice, safe neighborhood. The truth is that a burglary occurs every 13 seconds, and homes without a security system have a 300% greater chance of getting broken into. How many homes in your neighborhood were robbed yesterday? You need to start protecting your home and family today. Call now to get state-of-the-art protection. To keep your family and property safe, call the number on your screen now. Representatives are standing by to assist you.
Turnpike Sports Book Report.
The Turnpike Sports Book Report is brought to you by BorgataSports.com. Your favorite casino is now your favorite sportsbook. Available anywhere in New Jersey, BorgataSports.com. Sign up at BorgataSports.com using our promo code PIKE, that's P-I-K-E. Make your first wager of $20 or more and you'll get $100 in free bets. That's $100 in free bets when your first wager on Borgata Sports is $20 or more. Get into the action with BorgataSports.com. Must be 21 years or older and in New Jersey to place a bet. Terms and conditions apply. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
All right, in this week's book report, we have our normal assortment of state and national reports on sports betting in terms of handle, hold, and revenue, as well as launches to talk about. We have, legislation. We've got a lot of legislation to talk about. We've got a lot of deals to talk about, too, this time around with a whole bunch of different sports teams, and as well as some of the new responsible gaming platforms to talk about as well, too. Let's start with some of the numbers. And I'm going to hit the American Gaming Association State of the States report that just came out. Now, every year, the American Gaming Association compiles a report detailing not only the sports betting industry, but the casino industry as well in the United States.
And
detailing, how well they're doing.
Detailing is a very good word. It's a huge report.
143 pages.
Yep.
And not a wasted word in the entire report, to be honest with you. Some really interesting factoids out there, but I just want to hit a couple of them here. Americans now have legally wagered $21.5 billion on sports in this last fiscal year, compared to $13 billion in 2019.
Wow.
So that's a huge jump.
Well, there's so many more states that have sports betting than 2019.
Yeah, and it's actually a lot of them, as soon as mobile starts becoming more and more popular, too. I know there's a couple states out there that still do not do mobiles, Mississippi, one of them. But they're also one of the best markets out there, too, as a matter of fact. Revenue from legal sports betting options increased 69% to $1.5 billion. That's revenue. That's what the sportsbook operators have made off sports betting. The handle is, $21.5 billion, $1.5 billion. You can actually figure out the whole just by doing some math in your head with that one. This I found interesting. Baltimore, Washington, D.C. gaming market is now the third largest in our country.
Wow. Okay. So what is it? Nevada, New Jersey,
yep,
and now Baltimore, Washington?
Yes.
All right.
And if you think about it, Washington, D.C., that market is a brand new market if you really sit and think about it, because it just launched sports betting.
Yeah. No, it's brand new.
So I guess if you consider Maryland's going to get even bigger, too, now with sports betting coming.
Well, look, it's population density.
Yeah.
New Jersey's up there because there's so many people living in New Jersey.
And also it's easy to get to from New York, which doesn't have anything.
Yet.
Yes. So it'll be fun to see exactly how these numbers and all these different rankings change. But I thought that was kind of interesting that Baltimore, Washington, D.C. right now is the third largest market. And again, once sports betting launches in Maryland, that's going to change dramatically. Once New York launches its mobile sports betting, whenever that's going to happen, you're going to see that change the rankings as well. And some of the other movers in their ranking systems to break into the top 20, the Gulf Coast, St. Louis also jumped into the top 20, and Shreveport, Balsier City markets all jumped into the top 20 of gaming markets.
Interesting. Shreveport, huh?
I'm surprised at St. Louis.
Yeah, well, it's a look. It's a sports town, man. That's,
Yeah, I guess so.
They love
I
their
guess
sports
so.
there. So,
Well, those are some of the highlights from the State of the States report from the American Gaming Association. Actually, if you want to read the report, it's available for anyone to download at americangaming.org. That's the website for the AGA. And some of the best resources out there you can find at that website. Let's go to some of the other numbers from the individual states. We had Pennsylvania reporting their numbers. They had an April handle of $479 million, and 439 of it came from online wagering.
wow. Okay.
So that's a good chunk online. They have a great online market.
Well, look, it'd be curious to see as the summer moves on. A lot more things are opening up. A lot more people are going out and getting into more capacity regulations are loosening up, and it should be interesting to see online versus retail, how those numbers change throughout the summer.
Well, the way most of these states are shaking out, especially when you have the retail and the online together running at the same time, most of the time everyone just does online. It is a matter of convenience for people if they don't want to go to the casino. To
I
bet.
do online when I'm actually standing in the sports book.
There's a lot of that.
I don't have to go up and wait in line. I don't have to leave my chair.
Well, again, if you don't want to go to the casino, you have the options in a lot of states,
sure.
and that it is a great option to have.
Oh yeah, no, it's great. And if you win, it automatically goes right into your account.
Exactly.
You don't have to go up and get it.
Exactly. Also, revenue for April was just under $26.3 million, and $21.5 million of the total revenue was online wagering. They had about 82% online, so they had a good split between online and retail. Mm-hmm. Mostly, as I say, most of the states that have online, always the revenue and the handle reflect more online betting than they do retail, especially with the pandemic that's been going on. A lot of stuff's starting to reopen. Top spot went to Valley Forge.
Wow.
At all casinos in handle.
Wow. Okay, good for Valley Forge.
$169.85 million in handle.
That's an interesting casino. That's the one where you I don't know if I'm explaining this right. It's a
Day pass, basically.
It's a day pass kind of. I guess it's a C license. Is that what it's called? Or
yes. At some point they're going to probably change that. But
that's an interesting location. Growing up in New Jersey, you always went to Valley Forge on a class trip to see it. Now, like the Valley Forge Casino is about like a mile away from the Valley Forge where the soldiers stayed.
Hey, I went to Star Trek convention at Valley Forge.
Oh, yeah, before it was a casino. What was it called?
It was Valley Forge Conference Center or Valley Forge Convention Center or something like that. So I went to a couple of Star Trek cons.
A couple of Star Trek.
Yes.
You went to a couple of Star Trek? No, I was never at the convention. I was at the on class trips to the Valley Forge where, the actual campsite.
Well,
but no.
Going back to
Star Trek, huh?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Valley Forge, like I said, led all casinos in handle. They also led all casinos in online revenue with about $11 million. And also in total revenue with about $11.4 million. So most of their revenue came from online sports betting. Meadows was second with $106 million in handle, $5.4 in online revenue, and $5.5 in total revenue. 4 Pennsylvania operators had negative online revenue. Wind Creek, Hollywood, Harris Philly, and Presque Isle Downs all reported negative online revenue. I usually don't see negative online revenue, but they did. It's after you take out all the promos and everything else. So that kind of affects it. And tax revenue in April was just a hair under $9.5 million for taxes. Michigan reported their online handle. Michigan's kind of odd because we talked about Michigan last week as well. We did the retail last week. They said they released these numbers separately. They don't
really?
do them
Okay, so you do retail and then they do online sports books?
Yeah, they do it that way. At some point, they're going to release them all at the same time. But right now, they do the retail. I guess it has to do with the casino industry. They release those gaming numbers, and the retail sports betting's included with those. But the online handle and revenue and hold numbers come out a week later, basically. Online sportsbook handle of $250 million in April. Not a bad amount of money came in, but still 30% less than March. That was March Madness.
March was a huge month for sportsbooks because of March Madness. I mean, you know, April is always going to be lower than March, usually. That's expected.
Revenue was $20 million, and after you take out all the promotional play, the adjusted gross revenue was $10.9 million. They had a hold of 4.3% on the adjusted gross revenue. So not a bad hold. I mean, the players won more than the books wanted to give back, probably. FanDuel was first in handle, $72.4 million. DraftKings was second, $61.5 million, and BetMGM came in third, $54.9 million. Those are the top three. Now, everyone else was steps below. Barstool came in fourth, $24.8 million. PointsBet had an interesting number. They came in fifth place with $14 million. They were almost exactly even with what they did the month before.
Okay.
So their market share is kind of strong, if you think about it that way. They didn't have a lot of fluctuation in what number they brought in the last 2 months. That's a good, solid showing by PointsBet, if you think about it. Then you have the rest of them, William Hill, Fox Bet, Bet Rivers, Twin Spires, all made under $10 million in revenue. Golden Nugget came in at around $874,000. 4 Wins, $345,000. In terms of adjusted gross receipts, FanDuel led again, $5.2 million. Then BetMGM was second with $3.8 million. Here's where Barstool jumped over DraftKings, $1.2 million in adjusted AGR, the adjusted gross revenue, and DraftKings came in under $1 million.
Oh, okay. Good for Barstool.
Yeah, so they made some moves in a couple different areas. Washington, D.C., very quickly, they reported a total handle of $10.7 million between William Hill and Gambit, which is the D.C. lottery app. So good April showing there. Let's see. They did drop down about $5 million from March, but again, that's the March Madness effect. Revenue was higher, $1.9 million versus $1.9 million in March, $2.1 in April. Again, William Hill had the more players. Players wagered $8 million on William Hill. Gambit took $2.7 million. So again, a lot more people are choosing the William Hill app and also the actual book and the venue itself versus the lottery app, which I always thought was kind of interesting. Preakness was just held.
Yep.
Set a record handle of $112 million on the 14 race card, and the previous record was $99 million in 2019. So they blew right by that by about $12-13 million. Moving over to some of the launches that we can talk about. The NBA launched their first live studio betting show.
I think I caught part of that.
It was kind of interesting.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I liked it.
I mean, there's only so much you can do with some of these betting shows. But again, it's a matter of, how you present it to the audience.
Look, any information that helps you win money is okay by me. So,
Well, this is going to be running through the first 2 rounds of the playoffs, the show.
Good.
It's a 30-minute program, and it's going to be part of a wider, I guess, sports betting net that they're throwing out there called NBA Bet. It's going to be a new site, new gambling section on the NBA's website. So if you go to NBA.com, you should see basically what it is. It's a bet center.
All right.
They're going to have a new social media channel dedicated to gambling storylines. It's all through NBA Digital, which is a partnership between the league and Turner Sports. And for those of you who are following along with some of this stuff, Turner Sports also has a Bleacher Report deal as well. So there's some connections with that stuff.
I'm looking for NBA Bet. So,
well, you should be able to find it somewhere along there. Also, the National Council on Problem Gambling has launched Operation Responsible Gaming. Sorry, I just said it wrong. Operation Responsible Gambling. I always want to say gaming, but it's gambling is the proper term anyway. That is for support and services for military personnel and their families, both active and veterans and retired, that have gambling addictions or have some issues with problem gambling. So we have a new problem gambling program out there, and it's also funded and helped supported by Entain, the Entain Foundation U.S.
Great.
Also, FanDuel. I thought this was kind of interesting. FanDuel announced that they're opening an office in Atlanta.
Really? Oh, okay.
A $15 million office in Atlanta, even though there's no fantasy sports and there's no sports betting in Georgia.
Well, maybe they see something coming.
Well, they are.
They have some good information.
They're actually developing a center to help train people to work in the industry as well. So
that's great.
That's kind of an interesting little maneuver right there. I'm assuming with all the talk about Georgia and the sports betting, they've had bills in the legislative side of everything for years now, for the last couple of years here. So at some point they're going to be launching it, and they're going to have probably FanDuel ready to go.
Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, I mean, Atlanta is such a great sports town, so it's a matter of time.
Oh, yeah.
It's absolutely a matter of time.
And speaking of a matter of time, we have Connecticut. Connecticut just passed sports betting.
Okay, so they're pretty close to sports betting.
It is now going to the governor's desk to sign.
And by the time we're on air here, I mean, he might have signed it already.
Again, you got to hold on, especially when you're dealing with the Native American tribes. These compacts, everything could be approved by the Senate, the House, signed by the governor. It's still got to be approved by the federal government.
Okay, all right.
But what they have in place is, let me see if I can get my numbers here together.
Now, is it just sports betting, or are they going to really increase their gambling? Are they going to do online casinos or online poker, or is it just really sports betting right now?
It is everything.
It's everything. Wow.
Here, I have my notes here, and as you can probably hear me shuffling pages on my microphone, which I should never do. It was a 122-21 vote. And what this will do, it's a 10-year agreement calling for an 18% tax for the first 5 years for online casino gambling, and then a 20% tax on gross gambling revenue. 13.75% tax rate on sports betting.
Okay.
Let's see. Age is 21 and older, not 18 like some states have. Mm-hmm. It's going to create 15 retail sports betting sites, including larger facilities in Hartford and Bridgeport. You can't bet on in-state college teams.
Okay, yeah.
Which
New Jersey has that rule, too. I think New Jersey's going to change that rule, but, you know.
Well, again, a
lot of states have that.
I always felt the best compromise was bet on the colleges but not the players. No prop bets.
Yeah.
That always seems to be the best.
I forgot what states have that, but some states allow you to bet on the colleges in their state, but they don't allow you to do prop bets on the individual athletes.
Yeah, that's a great compromise, I always thought. But, you know, again, you got to slowly get these gears moving. The two interesting points to this, the Connecticut Lottery can now operate online lottery draw games, online keno, and both retail and online sports betting. So you have the Connecticut Lottery being one of the participants and not the guys running it, like in some states.
Oh, okay.
And the losers in all of this are the people of East Windsor.
Okay.
East Windsor was going to have that combined casino by the two tribes.
Oh, and what happened? That got lost in the compromise?
No, it did not get lost. As a matter of fact, it was a sticking point in a lot of areas.
Okay.
Under the new compacts, the casino being built, that idea, that concept is now blocked for 10 years.
Okay.
So they have another 10 years to wait for their own casino. A couple of other news and notes in terms of deals. We have PointsBet making a deal with the WNBA, the first one for a women's professional sports league.
Great.
Typical deal. They're going to have the WNBA listed in the sports betting menus in exchange for some promotion and sponsorship activations on the WNBA side for PointsBet. BetMGM did a deal with the Baltimore Ravens. They are now a sponsored presence on Ravens digital and social platforms. You're going to see BetMGM signage everywhere at M&T Bank Stadium, which is where the Ravens play. They're going to have promotions targeted to the Ravens fans. And also they're going to have a private hospitality suite at the stadium.
Wow, I like that. That's a new thing now. I like these. I've never been in one yet, I know
No.
there's a bunch in New Jersey. That I think the Devils have one. I'm sure other teams have them, but I've never been in these. I get luxury boxes. I guess that's what they're called. They're glorified luxury boxes.
Yes.
Is that is that a
Basically,
good way to put
yeah.
it? Okay.
And also, you'll probably be allowed to bet in there too.
Well, you can bet anywhere with your phone. So.
Well, some stadiums may still not allow it.
Oh.
You got to think about where you're actually betting and everything else. Moving over to, let's stay with the Ravens for a little bit here. We have Sport Radar doing a deal with both the Ravens and the Jets. Sport Radar is going to be working with both teams to help maximize the revenue from the marketing initiatives involving sports betting.
I have no idea what that means. What do they do?
They have a division called Ads. Sport Radar has
All right.
Ads.
Okay.
AD:S.
All right.
And it's a dynamic.
Sport Radar is going to help them advertise their product.
They're going to help them get the most money.
Okay.
From different avenues of revenue and that sort of setup there. Betway just became the official sports betting partner of the NHL.
That's where I first saw Betway. I was watching an Islanders game, and I would say a couple months ago, and I was like, "What the hell is Betway?" I don't even know what. I can't remember if it was on the ice or was on the ring around the ice. But no, I saw Betway, and I didn't know what it was.
Well,
so now I know what it is.
You're going to be seeing Betway everywhere for the Stanley Cup playoffs, the Stanley Cup final. They're also going to have visibility at the tentpole events like the NHL Winter Classic, the Stadium Series, All-Star Weekend. And it's kind of interesting because Betway, this is the first North American Sports League sponsorship they've entered into. So for those of you not familiar with Betway, you're going to be seeing a lot of it in the coming years with the NHL. They're making deals with a couple other places as well. Last but not least for this week, the New Jersey Economic Development Authority, and it's kind of unusual to mention an Economic Development Authority in a book report here, but they just did a memorandum of understanding with New Jersey City University to develop and create the Sports Wagering and Financial Technology Workforce Development and Innovation Center.
Okay.
They're going to be the New Jersey EDA is going to provide $200,000 in funding and staff resources to help New Jersey City University, which is in Jersey City. They're going to help develop the workforce for sports wagering as well as financial tech. Both of those are incorporated together because a lot of the technology that is used for financial transactions is used by sports wagering operators.
Sure.
So they go hand in hand.
Look, sports betting is a huge industry now, and they need a workforce, and they need a competent workforce, and I'm glad they're doing something like this. It gets, qualified people doing great jobs in the sports betting industry.
And the goal of this is to actually also function as an incubator for new businesses down the road.
Great.
So congratulations to New Jersey City University for getting that partnership together. And, New Jersey is one of the leaders in sports betting, in the sports betting industry.
Absolutely.
And this is one way they can maintain it. So that's it for this week's book report. Whatever we didn't hit, and there was a lot we didn't hit again. I mean, another crazy week with some of this stuff.
I think everyone's trying to get all their business done before Memorial Day.
Well, it's been
just
like
seems
this.
like that. It feels like that.
I'll be honest with you. With all the states passing legislation, with all the different deals being done, I think somebody even referred to some of these deals as like the Wild West again. It's a land grab for trying to get positioning in the market, which is kind of we didn't even talk about the DraftKings racing deal with the Michael Jordan team.
Yeah.
So, but I guess I just did.
Yeah, there you go. You just did.
They just did a deal with the racing team for Bubba Wallace, run by Michael Jordan 23XI, I think it's called. And so, but whatever we didn't hit, and there was a lot of other stuff we didn't hit, especially legislation-wise, head on over to turnpikesportsradio.com and click on the blog button. You'll see these stories we did talk about and some of the ones we did not talk about, or a lot of the ones we didn't not talk about, in print form on the blog.
And that'll do it for us this week. We'll see you next time on the Turnpike.